For all of my life, I was a constant overthinker, and I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you have been too. Welcome to the club. However, this video is all about escaping the club, not becoming a card-carrying member of the overthinking club. Overthinking for me almost caused me to never start my business that allowed me to do so much, like travel abroad and live in a country I want to live in, attracted my dream partner, and a bunch of other things actually. If I had succumbed to overthinking or hadn't learned what I'm going to give you in this video today, I have no idea how my life would have turned out at this point. So if you want to go from the constant overthinker to the person who is calm and collected yet makes great decisions often, keep watching this video all the way through, because that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do. Now, overthinking is very similar to what we call analysis paralysis, where we essentially overanalyze a situation or situations to the point where we don't take any action. We never take that first step. It usually comes from this need of thinking we need to have more and more information before we actually take some action. But with overthinking, we want a constant stream of information, and typically information that's not really going to help us in anything that we're doing. And at the end of the day, overthinking usually derives from fear. Fear that what we're going to try will fail, that it won't be enough, even the fear of not being wanted or loved if you really get to the core of it. So we compensate by overthinking because we believe that's going to help us. But has your experience been that overthinking has been helpful? My experience certainly hasn't been that. Now, we tend to overthink in two different ways, either about the past or about the future. When it's about the past, we tend to dwell on something we may have said or something we did or like a certain event from our past. And we love to tell ourselves stories about these things that happened in the past that usually come with a negative sway bias, meaning we think about them negatively. This causes us to be more in fear, which sends us for more of like a loop, which brings in more and more and more negativity. You'll notice this kind of thing come up, this level of overthinking, especially when you go to do something new, or maybe you step outside your comfort zone. Your overthinking mind will try to get your attention to past stories and similar things you may have done in the past that you deem as having not worked out too well. Now, future overthinking is, simply put, when we fantasize about things that have yet to happen. But if you're an overthinker, we visualize about the future mainly about all the things that could possibly go wrong. A simple example is if you're a man, for example, and you want to approach a woman that you have a crush on or you're attracted to, how many of you have thought of all of the things that could go wrong rather than just going up and doing it? Now, are most of these things, or really any of these things, likely going to happen if you do that thing? Probably not, but a lot of people tend to think this way. In fact, there's even a term for it called catastrophizing. So as you can see, if you weren't already convinced, overthinking doesn't seem to serve us. So what can we do about it? One of the main reasons we overthink so much is because we put so much emphasis on something, or we put so much importance on it. For example, let's say you have a job interview. You might think something along the lines of, I have to get this job. It's life or death. I must get this job. This level of importance on something triggers overthinking. You're creating a ton of unnecessary pressure and what we call excess potential. Whereas if you were to approach this from a completely different perspective, or to recontextualize it, you'll find that you no longer overthink about it. So for example, in the same scenario, if a job interview comes up and you were to think something more along the lines of, you know what, this would be a great job if I got it, but if I don't, it's not the end of the world. It'll be this or something better. You immediately lower the importance and dispel so much of that energy that overthinking loves. You'll also find that when you do this, you perform better or act more naturally in situations. And we can apply this to anything you may be overthinking about. You can even do this again in the dating scenario, where instead of overthinking about the situation, you can go up and make your feelings known and just come from the foundation of, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, but at least by making my feelings known, I know where I stand, and then if it doesn't work out, it's okay, I'll move on. If it does work out, well then I would have never known that unless I had approached this woman or this man or whatever else it is. And again, you can then also say, if it doesn't work out, it'll be this or something better. But can you see how that neutralizes the overthinking? Can you see how that flips the script on its head? Now, before we move on, I just want to make a point that lowering the importance doesn't mean lowering the priority. You can still, for example, prioritize getting a job or having a romantic partner or improving your dating life or improving your health, etc., while also lowering the importance at the same time. They are not the same thing. Now, this next strategy is responsible for so many of the good things that I've personally brought into my life. And it's also responsible for so many of the amazing results our clients have gotten in their life through using this and really going deep into this strategy I'm about to give you. Now, if you want to learn more about the program we take people through to help them get life-shattering and life-transformative results, I actually have a free Facebook group you can apply to join down below, where we teach some of these concepts and also show you kind of like the next steps if you want to work with us. Now, this concept is going to destroy overthinking right there and then, and it's called the best next thing. You see, if we allow our minds to run amok, which is also known as overthinking, it's gonna want to kind of gather as much information as it possibly can. It'll want a 19-step plan, a complete and full roadmap before you end up doing anything. But this is what causes analysis paralysis, and usually it's not that you will end up doing anything even if you get that information, you usually end up doing nothing. And so it is better to know your next move than to guess your next 5. And when you're overthinking, you are absolutely guessing, even if your mind tries to convince you otherwise. You need only know the best next move for yourself. And guess what will then be revealed as a byproduct of making that move? You got it. The best next move after that. And when you make a powerful best next move that is in alignment like this, you're usually not even gonna know what the best next move after that will be until you make it. So why guess the next 5? Sure, that might satisfy your ego and your overthinking mind, but it doesn't really help you. It may allow you to feel good enough to do nothing. So remember, what is the best next move for you? Say this to yourself, ask it to yourself often, even journal about it, and see where it takes you. Now, this next tool is another one of the most powerful in-the-moment tools to neutralize overthinking on the spot. And it's called an amalgam. This is essentially something you throw into the mix in a given moment to neutralize or dull the negative thinking. It's actually very simple. If you're going through your day and you kind of catch yourself overthinking or really being negative, you are going to say a certain phrase very intentionally and slowly, either out loud or in your mind. It can also help to even take a deep breath before you do this, just to slow the energy down, and then say something like this: something positively amazing is unfolding for me right now. Or the universe has my back and is always unfolding things for me. Now, you're gonna need something that fits your current subconscious programming. For example, for myself, I've programmed myself subconsciously to be able to really confidently say those couple of phrases I just said. So I fully believe them, which is why I use them as an amalgam. Essentially, this is just gonna be a phrase you can use to snap yourself out of overthinking in the moment. So if your subconscious patterns and beliefs are maybe not as positive, something as simple as, you know what, everything is going to be okay, can also be effective. However, if you don't have belief systems in place in your subconscious mind that doesn't allow for you to believe statements like I said above, then one of the most crucial things you can do is actually rewire your subconscious mind. And so I go over how to do that in this video. It's a deep dive in how to program your subconscious mind. And if you're overthinking or negative thinking a lot, this could be one of the most crucial videos you ever watch.